Diamond is Unbreakable is not exactly a bad sequel, it's just very different to everything we saw before. In first place is now a slice of life with the stunt battles and the mystery involving a serial killer. In that sense the story is very simple. The enemies aren't part of the organization of Dio, that's why everything feels more unfocused. The main villain didn't appear until the second half, and the protagonist doesn't have a motivation until that point. The good thing of this part is the secondary characters. They collaborate over the entire plot. Kishibe Rohan, Yukako or Jotaro are participating in all the plot, and even they are protagonists of their own chapters. The problem is the lack of use of some characters such as Shizuka or the alien. They are just a funny addition in some battles, and that's it. There is no such thing as a main plot for all those characters, and they didn't appear in later parts. That's why they feel wasted. Some stunts of this part are very weird and have boring fights. Who cares about Boy to Men or Superfly? These are the most boring fights of this part. This part has a very interesting villain, Kira Yoshikage, the most complex villain up to this point, and showing us his own perspective, which is a plus. I particularly wanted him to win, and Araki himself admits that Kira could have won on this arc. Considering all of this, I find this part as unique in his own style, but it's more like a spin-off than a proper sequel of Stardust Crusaders. It's a 6 out of 10, and if you like a recommendation of anime slice of life, I would recommend Planets.
Rimane solo il risultato che voi sarete distrutti. L'eterna cima esiste solo per me. Puoi cantare canzoni di tristezza nel mondo senza tempo.
Bento Aureo is more complicated to analyze for several things. In first place, this can be the most hated part of all. I understand several points of this, but I have to disagree with some of them. Yes, we all agree that Giorno is the most boring JoJo. Bushirati should be the protagonist of this arc. Yes, Giorno has no relation with his parents, that's why we don't care about he being son of Dio. That was just a way to make more sales. Yes, Diavolo is by far the worst villain in JoJo. At least the Pilar Men were fighting and confronting the protagonist most of the time. Yes, Giorno has power-ups all over the series, and he has heal abilities even more powerful than Yosuke's crazy diamond. Also, there is implied that Giorno can only use his hands to activate gold experience powers, but this is not true. At the very beginning, Giorno uses his foot to defeat Black Sabbath. Yes, there is a lot of plot armor in characters such as Doppio or Mista. In the case of Mista, it's worse. He survived several bullets in the fight against White Album. A normal human being will die with the first or second bullet. Now I want to talk about the good points. In first place, all the characters participate all over the fights and the plot. Everybody collaborates to defeat the villain. In part 4, for example, Yukako never gets involved to defeat Kira. Instead, Trish is in the fight against Diavolo. The setting is more intriguing because it's the real world again, and the Italian architecture makes everything look more beautiful. The art style is way more consistent than in part 4. The skills and the combats are very interesting. Not only several of the best stunts appear in this part, but also we see an improvement of the meat that involves the arrows. Stunts such as Notorious Big are very difficult to forget. My favorite of all these stunts are Sticky Fingers, Spicy Girl, White Album and Metallica. The enemies are of several sides. La Squadra's enemies are great and their motives are very well done. A terrible point to note is while the Requiem Arrow is interesting, it also represents a problem, and is the fact that using it means an immediate victory to the protagonist, since it is a power-up resource that kills the tension. I don't like Gold Experience Requiem, it's overpowered to levels compared to the worst arcs of Dragon Ball. I would prefer Diavolo using the arrow, and the protagonist defeating it with the power of Trish could be something more related to the karma, but the ability to erase every resolution destroys the tension. By far, the worst fights are the fights against Babyface and King Crimson. And there is another big issue. The fate. From the last chapters, we know about the fate of Bruno because of the stunt Rolling Stones. From this point we are already going to know everything was predestinated, and the characters that die at this part didn't have any choice. Sadly, this is for me the worst mistake in all the franchises. This part is a 4 out of 10.
Made in heaven!
Stone Ocean is the best part of the first universe. This is a combination of a lot of things. In first place, all the protagonists are amazing. They are even three-dimensional and have a deep reason to do what they do. The setting of a jail is very useful to create the idea of danger. The villain Enrico Pucci is introduced at the very beginning, and he has complex motives. The way he is accomplishing his goal is way better than Diabolo's way. His stand is not as overpowered as King Crimson, and the way he conspires against his enemies makes him one of the best JoJo villains. Pucci sought to make every human know their fate paths via Made in Heaven's power, and give them resolution to accept their destiny, calling it true happiness. Essentially, Pucci wishes that humans realize they couldn't fight fate, and make them at peace with their status as subordinates of fate. Jolyne is also very complex among the entire cast of protagonists, even Jotaro becomes more deep in this part. In the case of characters such as Foo Fighters and his final arc, become the series one of the best resolution of a character since part 8. The stands are the most creative to this point. Powers such as Heavy Weather, Bohemian Rhapsody, or even Simon are an example of this. In summary, it's very difficult to find something to critique as bad, at least from Araki's work, but the work of coloring from Shueisha has some problems. Examples are the light presented in the Dios chapter, or the color scheme of Pucci when he is presented as brown when this had no sense, related to the plot of the KKK. If the KKK almost killed his brother for being a stepson of a black male, why did they kill Enrico? Outside of this little detail, the coloring work is awesome, both from Araki in the covers and Shueisha in the rest of the manga. I don't want to make too much spoilers about this part, that's why I don't want to talk about the ending, but let's just say that it's even better than the ending of part 2. Stone Ocean is an 8 out of 10, and now I'll see you in the next universe.